Peace and blessings, people. Welcome back to the channel once again. Thank you to everybody out there who's currently subscribed. If you have not subscribed, make sure you hit the subscribe button and also the notification button. You'll get notifications whenever I come out with content like this. Also, it's really important to understand what we do here is all about giving you more of a holistic and healthier approach, a natural approach to healing and health. Okay, so today's content comes from the comments, but I've also seen this question also in my DMs and also in my inbox as well too. And the question that I repeatedly get is, what does nocturia, or peeing at night, waking up to pee at night, where does that come from? And what can I do to, remedy this situation? And so that's what we're going to jump into today. We're going to first start with, it's really important to understand if you're getting up at night to pee, it is not a normal thing. Okay. And let me help you understand what I mean by normal. There are things that are common, but it doesn't mean that it's normal. Okay. So it may be common that a lot of people get up at night and urinate, but that does not mean that it's normal. Okay, especially in today's society where the food has changed, medications and how we heal ourselves is different. Our lifestyles are different, how we stress is different, like the toxins in the environment, everything is different today as opposed to what it was 70 years ago, when our great-grandparents were alive, okay? And so it's really important to understand that you getting up at night to pee is not a normal thing, okay? It may be common, but it's not normal. Okay, so what does this lead to? Because a lot of things like this, people kind of overlook and kind of say, well, it doesn't cause any harm, so there's no need for me to be worried about it. But let me tell you a few things that this could be an indication of what's going on in your body, which is eventually going to lead to something, or this could be a tip that you're doing something wrong in your lifestyle. Okay, so the first thing is, whenever you're having to get up and break your sleep at night, you're going to be fatigued throughout the day. At some point, you're going to get tired. So you're going to see acute fatigue and eventually chronic fatigue, okay? So that's one issue that it's causing. The other thing is you're going to see spikes in cortisol. Cortisol is a stress hormone in the body, and cortisol not only stresses the body, but it also tells the body to store fat, okay? So you don't want to be storing fat, okay? So as you are getting up and breaking your sleep at night, what you're breaking your restful state, okay? The time that you rest and heal, okay? When you're breaking that, what's going to happen is it's going to stress the body, and this cortisol hormone is going to tell the body store fat because it's telling the body that there's a stress, maybe there's a famine coming. So we need to store all the food we can, okay? So you don't want to do that. All right, so that's another reason why it's so important we remedy this situation. The other thing is it's going to cause a spike in your blood sugars, okay? Again, the whole purpose of sleep is for you to get restful sleep so that you can actually rejuvenate, restore, and heal, okay? And when you don't get that opportunity, your body doesn't have an opportunity to restore, rejuvenate, and heal, okay? And so it's gonna cause spikes in blood sugar as well too, and causing a spike in your blood sugar will eventually lead to a spike in your insulin, which could lead to insulin resistance. And here's why. Because as your blood sugar levels start to spike, it's also gonna increase your cravings for carbs. So you're gonna have carb cravings. You're gonna be craving breads, pastas, cookies, sugar, essentially, okay? So it's gonna increase your cravings for sugar too when you're breaking your sleep like this as well. It also could affect your immune system, because again, at night when we're sleeping, that's when we're resting and healing. It could affect our gut bacteria, the good gut bacteria in our gut too, which is responsible for 70 to 80% of our immune system, okay? So it can affect your immune system, make you more prone to infections, okay? The other thing is, and I mentioned this a few times, but it's really important to understand, sleep, the whole purpose is for restoring, rejuvenation, healing, and repair. When you do not sleep throughout the night, high quality sleep, then you're breaking the cycle of healing and repair, okay? And as you break this cycle continuously, this is why the body begins to break down, okay? Now, what are some typical causes? I'm gonna give you some typical causes of why this could be happening to you. For men, often you've heard probably that men could have an enlarged prostate, okay? But what I've seen in practice is that even when you reduce the size of the prostate, they still have this issue of waking up at night, having this peeing, issue at night, waking up frequent multiple times at night, peeing. Okay, so that's probably not the solution, and it's probably not the problem. If you shrink the size of the prostate and you're still having this issue, so that's probably not the problem either. Drinking too much water right before bed definitely can cause you to wake up at night. Okay, so you definitely don't want to do that, but that's one of the typical causes that people say, and simple causes. Being diabetic. When you're diabetic, this could be a tip that you have diabetes or you're pre-diabetic when you have blood sugar issues or insulin resistance issues. So being diabetic also could be the cause of this issue. Also a UTI, having an infection. When you have an infection, it can often cause you to have this peeing frequency, and often could occur at night. And then medications like diuretics, like Lasix, can actually cause you to have this peeing frequency. And this is why they typically tell people, and I remember counseling people about this, to make sure they take their medications in the morning as opposed to taking it at night. Okay, so those are the typical causes that when you go into the doctor, they would tell you. So let's get into what I believe the issue is for most people, because especially here in the US, this is one of the biggest issues. One of the biggest issues, especially here in America, is that we eat so many carbs, especially refined carbohydrates. Refined carbohydrates are going to be the things I mentioned before: cookies, cakes, breads, pastas, pizza, things of that nature. These refined carbohydrates that have had all of the fiber and all of the nutrients removed from them. Okay, and what this leads to, and I believe that this is a huge issue, especially in developing nations, is that the vast majority of Americans eat on average 152 pounds of white flour every year, somewhere between 150 and 130 pounds of white flour every year, and then somewhere around the same average for sugar, okay, added sugar. So imagine that you're eating roughly 150 pounds of sugar every year and 150 pounds of white flour every year. And this is what's causing the blood dysregulation issues, the insulin resistance. And this is a huge part of why so many people are waking up at night using the bathroom, is because so many people are eating so much refined carbohydrates in the form of white sugar, in the form of refined carbohydrates, white flour, okay? And the reason or the mechanism behind this is that insulin inhibits a hormone that prevents you from developing urine throughout the night. One of those hormones could be vasopressin. Vasopressin essentially says, all right, we're going to stop making this fluid, this urine, and so that you can sleep throughout the night. And when you don't have that inhibition, then you start to make it anyway, okay? And then you get that urge to pee and you get up to go pee, okay? And that's really important. But essentially the mechanism or the issue is insulin resistance, too much insulin in the body, okay? And the too much insulin is coming from too much white flour and too much sugar, okay? And it's not just the sugar that you add into your sugary beverage, although that is a huge part of it. The sugar quite often is hidden. You don't see it. It's in refined or processed foods. And 60 to 70% of the American diet is processed foods. So let's talk a little bit about the solution, okay? Because one of the big issues, as I mentioned before, the big issue is insulin resistance, which is causing you to inhibit one of the the hormones that essentially makes urine throughout the night, okay? Or throughout the day, or, in the body, okay? Now, the reason why insulin or blood sugar is such an issue, because again, 96 million Americans are pre-diabetic, and 80% of them do not know it, okay? So 96% of Americans are pre-diabetic, and 80% of them don't know it. Now, here's an even more, shocking number, is that over half of the US population is either pre-diabetic or diabetic, over half of the US population, okay? So that's telling you that we have a really big issue, but the unfortunate thing is that nobody really is addressing this issue, And this issue is not only the cause of frequent urination throughout the night, but it's the cause of diabetes, which is the leading cause of amputation, the leading cause of blindness, the leading cause of kidney disease, and the leading cause of erectile dysfunction and even heart disease. Okay, so this isn't just about frequent urination at night, but you can see how this could literally remedy a lot of the issues that are metabolic issues that we're having, especially in the Black and brown community. Okay, so let's get into some of the solutions real quick, and we're going to wrap this up. Number one, as I always say, the solution is always in the problem. As I said before, the big problem is the white flour and the white sugar, the refined carbohydrates. So we got to get rid of them out of the diet. Okay, we got to get rid of those cookies, cakes, breads, pastas, and get healthier versions. I'll give you an example. I'll get pasta that is chickpea pasta, literally made from chickpeas. Okay, and so that's one solution. Eating healthier grains as opposed to white flour. So you're eating, you know, amaranth, you're using fonio, you're using spelt instead, okay? So using more ancient grains as opposed to these more modern grains that have been hybridized, okay? So that's one of the solutions to the problem. The other thing is eliminating the sugary beverages and the caffeinated beverages, okay? Because caffeinated beverages will cause you to be dehydrated because they cause frequent urination, okay? So that's a big part of the solution as well. Coffee in particular, very dehydrating to the body as well, okay? So that's solution number two that'll really help you. Eliminating processed foods, eating more whole foods, foods that have one ingredient, like an avocado, kale, one ingredient, okay? Instead of getting these things in a box, bag, can, jar, etc., that have 50 ingredients, and half of them sound like chemistry. So eliminating those things are gonna be very helpful because the other thing is they're gonna have a lot of sugar and they're gonna have a lot of salt, okay? And the more salt you have in your body, okay? Processed food is a safe haven, or it is laden with sugar and salt because they know we are addicted to both of those things. So they engineer it into the recipes so that they can bake addiction into the recipes. So we got to eat more whole foods, throw away those processed foods, eat less of those, because again, it's going to cause the body salt. The more salt you put in the body, it causes the body to retain fluid. So you start to look puffy, okay? And what happens is your body's trying to get rid of the fluid, so you start to have frequent urination, okay? So again, this is a part of the solution as well. Another big part of the solution, we want to build muscle and burn fat. Want to build muscle. I'm about to go to the gym. I was literally about to go to the gym, and I said this is a perfect video for me to shoot right before I go to the gym, because the more muscle you build and you burn, you're going to be able to burn more fat, okay? So a lot of people try to focus on burning fat, which is good, but it's much more easier to actually build muscle going into the gym with resistance training, high intensity interval training, calisthenics, things of that nature. Build muscle so it increases your ability to be able to burn fat, because muscle is a fat burning machine, okay? So we want to get active. You know, that's going to help a lot as well, because as you build muscle and burn fat, it's going to decrease the amount of insulin in your body as well. And remember what I said about insulin. Insulin will cause you to inhibit that enzyme that prevents you from, you know, building up all this urine at night. And the last thing and most important thing, I'm always repeating this, but it's so important to understand, is that for decades, for most of us, we've been eating a standard American diet that is full with, you know, thickening agents, emulsifiers, dyes, you know, preservatives, red number 40, yellow number 5. I can go on and on. Things that are supposed to be in chemistry that is not in something living, but it is in our food today. And it is our job to figure out, how do we get this out of the body? How do we cleanse this out of the body? Because just because you ate it, it doesn't mean that it left the body. It accumulates in the body. And as it starts to accumulate in the body, it makes the body toxic. And as the body becomes more and more toxic, it becomes more and more deficient. It starts to feed disease. So cleansing and detoxification is a huge part of the solution as well, too. And that's how you get this salt out of the body that is accumulating in the joints, accumulating in the areas that are having a lot of inflammation too. And what you'll notice is throughout these solutions, when you start to take the solutions that I've just given to you, number 1 through 5, what you're going to experience is not only you're going to solve the issue with the nocturia or the frequent urination at night, but you're going to notice that a lot of inflammation goes away in the body. You're going to notice that you start to burn a lot of fat, build a lot of muscle, and you're going to notice a lot more brain clarity, and you're going to notice a lot more energy in the body as well too. So I hope you have enjoyed today's content. If you liked it, make sure you shoot a comment down below. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.